All right. Welcome, everybody, back to the No Quarter Podcast, Idaho's
Number one podcast.
number one podcast. Episode 14 today.
Yeah, we're making headway.
Yeah.
Even with Rob in Hawaii,
Well-
sending us drunk videos all the time.
The skeleton fell.
I'll get him right.
Sitting there pretty good.
Gravity's a little heavy today. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it is heavy in here today.
Super excited, though. We had our first guest, Justin with Laser Blade, on a couple episodes ago.
Yep.
And then Jeromy and I bored you. Actually, it was a pretty good episode.
That was a good episode. My wife laughed. She's like, "Daddy issues," and I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "You talked about your dad dying," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Both-
She knew right away.
It got all.
She's like, "Got a little heavy, huh?"
Super heavy-handed. Both of us have hardcore I thought "Daddy Issues" was an appropriate.
No, it's funny.
title
And
for it.
you know what? A lot of women out there are probably searching daddy issues and finding that episode. Now we probably have a lot of women fucking listeners.
They got their man.
So welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome all you daddy issued ladies.
Yeah. And then
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. So today we have another guest, and I'm gonna kick it over to Jeromy and let him.
Yeah, so we actually,
ramble.
so what stemmed me asking this guest specifically to be on was we got a question from what I assume is a drunk Rob
Yeah.
in Hawaii about can you hold someone until the police come at gunpoint over property? And I think his example was like a car or something, right?
I think he said if somebody. Oh, I asked about coming into your house.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it was over a car.
So, and I was like, yeah. And then we were like, this would be a great topic. And I'm pretty good off of Idaho law and kind of understanding what you can and can't do.
I would hope so, since you
But I'm-
teach the enhanced class.
Yeah, but I'm only knowledgeable as I am because of our guest, Cory Feldman, who works for a local agency out here.
Nice.
And owns an apparel company, 1032 Apparel. So
I was like, I think they should be in the shot. I
Yeah.
can't tell over there, but we've got some of his shirts up behind him. He's rocking the modern musket.
yeah.
It's like almost all my shirts. I don't have
Right.
any.
You don't have that many?
But yeah, so welcome to the show, Cory. Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it. Short notice. I hit you up last night and was like, you want to be on a podcast?
And I said, sure. I like to be on podcasts.
Yeah. So it was
how
exciting.
many podcasts do you have out there? Just out of
I was
curiosity?
just on one other.
What was it? We can plug them.
It was my buddy Raul Garcia's podcast,
Yeah.
32 podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
That name sounds really familiar.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to get into really, and the thing that I don't even know yet is what, and so
Well, hang on. Let's let him plug himself first.
that's what I was going
Okay.
to, I was going to plug. So Cory, you own 1032 Apparel.
Yeah, I do.
And it's honestly some of the dopest like shirts and hats and beanies and stuff that are being made in Idaho, in my opinion. Like I
Okay,
love all
cool.
the designs. I mean, what it represents and stuff. But tell us about 1032 Apparel and a little bit, or even the whole story of like what made you do it.
Well, so I always wanted to make T-shirts ever since I was when I was working in the jail. That's when Article 15.
Matt Best's.
Yeah, when
yeah,
that
dude.
Best stuff started coming out. So I was like, man, that's really cool. I'd like to make T-shirts.
Yeah.
And then I came to my senses, and I can't draw worth a shit. So I was like, well, that's out. So I always liked T-shirts and that type of stuff. What is it? Zulu Foxtrot.
Yeah.
They make some awesome apparel, and I was always looking at that and always wanted to do something like that. And then lo and behold, my daughter started dating a kid named Jackson, and that dude can draw really good. So as I was sitting there one day, I saw him drawing something on an iPad, and it was some type of design that he had, and I said, "That's cool as shit. I'm gonna start making some T-shirts. You're gonna draw some shit for me."
If you're dating
Do you
my
want to
daughter,
continue dating my daughter?
Yeah.
you will fucking
This
draw.
is what's going on.
So
He's like, yes, sir.
so I just got done. I just got back around that time from Direct Action Resource Center in Little Rock, Arkansas,
That's
doing
Darcy?
some training. Yeah,
Yeah.
doing some level 1 Darcy training.
Nice.
Basically, everything you do down there is in a helmet, gas mask, and nods. So,
Which is terrible for
Yeah.
anybody who has not done that. It's awful.
yeah,
I don't think I've ever run any classes in a gas mask.
Dude, awful.
I think I'd hyperventilate.
Doing anything for extended period of time with an elevated heart rate, especially trying to shoot under not awful.
it's a pretty cool experience. You gotta do it at least once. In
But
your life.
Darcy would
Yeah.
never accept public, right? You have to be
They'll
law
do
enforcement.
they'll do some vendor type people, but you have to be in law enforcement or military to go.
To go as like a student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to go over there and do that. So, but if anybody in law enforcement is watching this, go. It is probably one of the best fighting schools that you will be in, and you'll get into hundreds and hundreds of gunfights throughout the week, and it's just all
So
that
cool.
level 1 portion is just all simunition type work type stuff. So you're just
Nice. Also awful.
gunfights,
But the
upon
fun
gunfights
shit.
upon
It's so fun.
gunfights. Yeah.
It's the fun shit.
I took a sim round like literally into the tip of my finger.
Why?
Oh,
Why
those
don't?
hurt.
Oh, it
Those
was
are
awful.
bad
That's
when
I
you
don't
hit
get.
hands.
Why when you do any kind of like airsoft, paintball, simunitions, anything, your fucking hands just get lit up.
So I have 2 things for that. So
Don't be a pussy.
when you're looking and shooting, right? Where are you usually looking at?
Oh, you look at the threat,
You look at the threat, which is
the weapon.
yep. So you'll naturally end up indexing on that and shooting that, so people get shot in the hands. Also,
Well, I just broke down my bad habits.
and
Well, having
then
a gun in your hand.
the other thing is, and I heard this from a longtime trainer as well. When you guys are pointing a gun, where's your gun at? When it's up,
When
and
where
it's
you're looking?
indexed? Well,
Usually
it's up in center mass,
Center
right?
mass, yeah.
Mhm.
So we as shooters, what are we going to do? We usually shoot
Center
center
mass
mass.
anyways,
The gun
yeah.
is where the center mass is. That's why we also take the hits there as well.
Smart. Makes
So
sense.
those are just 2 different
Interesting.
things of why people usually end up getting hit in the hand.
Yeah. So don't
It's-
fuck with
it's just
Cory. I'll
that.
shoot your fingers off.
Yeah, something like.
So you just got home. Sorry, that was a tangent. So you just got home from Darcy, and
So everything. So a big portion of that is a gas mask helmet, and then there's a portion of it that you're doing gunfights and everything under night vision.
sick.
So when I was thinking about the actual logo of it, I was thinking a dude with a gas mask, a helmet, and the nods that were hanging up. So
That's cool.
it ended up just working out. It's like, oh, geez. As far as the 1032 portion of it, I would say like my best friend, Raul Garcia, he always, for a long time, he had that 1032 training, 1032 Idaho that he would do.
So what's the 10 code?
1032 is police 10 code for man with a gun.
Okay.
And I thought that was really, really cool. So kind of like stole it from him, that number to put it up on there, but I love him, and it's kind of an homage to him for that man with a gun.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty good, I think, mindset and a pretty good apparel number for people who are like me, man.
Yeah.
We're good dudes. We're good dudes with guns, and really, when it comes down to it, I think that the reason why Idaho is as safe as it is, and the reason why no foreign entity can come into the United States and win is because we have so many good people with guns,
Yeah.
and that will never be invaded by foreign people. And if you take a look at big blue cities in that as well, there's a lot of violence that happens because all the bad guys have the guns, and the state legislatures of those blue states, man, really hand tie good people to where they can't defend themselves.
So what's police code for opposite of man with a gun?
Like soy boy with a latte?
Or
Like,
just
what are
like
we looking for?
man without a gun? Is it just 1031 maybe? We need to think of a code for that.
Okay.
We need to make some
Well,
like
in
super
California,
liberal
that's your
shirts.
general population.
Make some like rainbow shirts with that code on it. Oh fuck, dude, they would sell out in Boise.
See, and I know it actually makes sense. Like somebody needs to get this guy to a gun shop.
Yeah.
There you go.
Embrace your civic duty, bro.
There
It's
you go.
interesting though. Like I'll tell you, coming from California, are you native to Idaho? Been here a long time.
I've been in Idaho since 2. My parents moved here from Wyoming.
Okay. So like that's how my kids will be. I mean, basically raised here. It's interesting the difference in the mindset when you hear and when you watch law enforcement interact with individuals with firearms in a state that is not used to
Oh yeah.
people having guns. And it's like I'll roll around here with my guns on the front seat of my truck, you know, and
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't think twice about it.
No.
Most of the time, like most of the interaction is like, hey, that's pretty dope. Like, what do you got?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, we were doing a training thing when I used to be in a training unit. And when we were doing training, one of the scenarios is there's a dude open carrying in a gas station.
Yeah.
You know, there's really nothing wrong with that unless you get trespassed by the owner of it. But
Right.
anyway, so I'm doing my little thing there, and there's a guy who came over, and he was coming over from San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I'm sitting there pretending like I'm shopping and doing that. He immediately draws down and tells me not to move. And then you see like the cogs working in the back of his mind. And he's like, He's like, and he
Glitching
looks
out.
at me and he says, "We're in Idaho, aren't we?" And I was like, "Yes, we are in Idaho." So he goes and he puts his handgun away, and then we end up restarting the scenario. But it is a total different mind shift from, the People's Republic of California to the state of Idaho.
Do you think that? So I mean, obviously, a ton of law enforcement lateral over here. I mean, they see the greener pastures, and they see that the interactions with the civilians is significantly better than in California or other states, right? Like, generally speaking, like, if I get pulled over, right, like, I'm not going to be super social and friendly or anything, but I am going to be civil and, like, respectful, right? And and most people here are pretty pro law enforcement. I mean, it's a whole different, like, dynamic when I talk to my friends who are law enforcement in California, and it's like, how was your week? And it's just like, oh, just got shit on for a whole week straight, normal, pull everyone over, and it's phones
That's
in my
every day
face
for a
and-
medic. So
Well, yeah, okay, but yeah, I mean, you're also in California, right? Here, maybe it'll be a little better. But do you think that the officers that lateral over, even though they're conscientious that, like, we are going to interact with a public that is well armed, do you think there's any kind of, like, disparity of, like, their first couple traffic stops where they're just like, oh shit? Or do you think they get it pretty
No,
easy
because
transition?
they still have to. It's not like they like, hey, I was a cop in California, now I'm going to go jump in a police
Right.
car and
yeah, they still have to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
through
yeah.
FTO. They got to get
Absolutely.
retrained.
they still have to go. They still have to go through the training process. As part of the agency that I'm with, though, there's a culture that how do I want to say this? There's a culture to where the public actually likes us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we want to be able to keep that. So we still need to have that culture to where, hey, we're friendly with the public, we're not a bunch of jerks, all that type of stuff. Then there's a time that people earn that, right?
Yeah.
But as far as that interaction portion of it, everybody understands that we are courteous to the public. That's the way it is. I think the majority of the issue why people from California move over to Idaho is they actually want to be cops. They actually want to do investigations. They want to get criminals, and I think that's a total opposite in California, to where they're restricted. They won't let them do their job, and they just want to be cops. So they just come over from there, come over here, so they can actually be proactive and try to arrest bad guys.
Yeah, I know recruitment's plummeting in California.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, the problem comes down to is you're more liable to do your job than not to do your job.
Right.
Yeah.
Really is what it comes
Yeah.
down
Doing
to.
your job effectively can get you in a lot of trouble.
Well, you can go to prison
Yep.
for just doing your job. You go do your job, you affect some type of traffic stop or whatever, get into a shooting, shoot a dude, and now they're looking at throwing these people in prison.
Yeah.
So, and then that's the scary part, and that's one of the reasons why they come over here as well, just because of the liability.
I mean, there's so many departments that have canceled their pursuit policies.
Yeah.
Like, you run, they're later.
I think
Write down your tag.
You should let me know what cities those are.
Maybe it's
I'll take the Chevelle out there, just rip the plates off and
it's
go,
it's
baby.
many. It's many.
Yeah.
I think-
and that's probably for the better, though, in some sense.
Well,
but
there's-
bad in some.
there's a time that you initiate a traffic, or you initiate some type of a pursuit, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets dangerous depending on traffic and that type of stuff.
Right.
We're not trying to chase people so they end up getting into a car crash
Right.
and
Sure.
murdering a whole family of
Right.
people.
Right.
However, I do think that there's an issue to where when you do have a policy like that, people are driving dangerously for that, or driving dangerously because they know that a pursuit
Yeah.
Will never happen.
will get terminated.
Well, there's no repercussion.
And I think if there's a crash on that, I think those agencies could be held liable for that, because their policies dictate that all this person has to do is just drive like an asshole, and it's done. So
So that's a damned
There
if you
could be
do,
an
damned if
issue.
you don't.
yeah,
It's
Yeah, a
like
little bit.
pursuit, crash, now you're in trouble for pursuing. No pursuit, crash, and now you're in trouble for not pursuing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's really senseless, like the double-edged sword that goes on. And I can't imagine. I have a lot of friends in law enforcement in the Bay Area and stuff, and all the time I'm just like, dude, I don't understand how do you, they're losing hair quick. They're just constantly stressed. They're understaffed, overworked. And even like I had one instance where one of my friends was like, yeah, dude, like hooked this dude up, brought him in, they processed him. I went upstairs to like wrap up my shift and all this
Gone
stuff,
by the
did
time he's
paperwork.
back.
And he was legit, as he was leaving, the dude was walking down the street that he just arrested and dropped off.
Yeah, it's pretty silly.
Couple hour process.
Crazy.
And the dude just like, I literally just arrested this guy and I'm driving by and I'm like, that motherfucker's walking down the street.
Yeah, most of the time it's just to get him into the system so they get a court date.
Yeah, and his
Like,
whole
it's
thing's
all
just like,
sight and
at what point? Then he's been a cop for a while, but it was just like, why even do anything?
Well, I think that's some of the mindset too. Now that when that happens, you might as well just write them a ticket and then leave. 'Cause
Right.
the only thing you're doing is just wasting your time.
I just saw a thing on, I want to say it was like on Instagram, maybe it was on X. There's this guy who got out of prison he had like a 24-year sentence for marijuana-related charges.
That's crazy.
And he gets out and driving down the road to go to wherever he's going, and the first sign he sees is a dispensary.
Oh,
Yeah.
And he's like, it's just what a dichotomy.
Legal or not legal in Idaho, I think that if it's legal in any specific state, anyone who's in jail for strictly marijuana needs to be released.
I will say this though: people don't go to jail for just having marijuana.
Yeah, but 24 years ago,
That
they might
there's-
have. You don't think so?
No?
Really?
No,
Really?
there's some other stemming thing
Yeah.
for that because I see people all the time. People do not go to prison.
But if they get like
For
a
having
trafficking
marijuana.
charge because they've got like a pound of weed in the back or something.
I have 50 pounds of weed in my car.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a
It's all-
stoner. That's a drug deal.
It's like
Yeah.
that's
I don't
all,
know. Ask Snoop.
That's all personal use. No.
Yeah.
50
I'm getting
pounds.
really fucked up today.
Yeah.
I'm talking comatose.
Just put it in a bonfire, light it up. It's going to be a party.
when people say these people are in prison for marijuana stuff, there's extra stuff than
For sure.
marijuana on there. I don't believe that at all.
Yeah. I think from what I've talked to, or from the guys that I've talked to, there's a lot of discretion that's exercised.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so you can use some of these more, like what I think most people would consider silly infractions to get truly bad people, you know what I mean, into the system and then build the case off of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I like to look at it kind of like a tool.
Yeah.
Everything's a tool.
Sure.
And that goes with discretion too.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I pull somebody over for some type of traffic violation, I'm probably not going to give you a ticket unless there's some other bigger defining issue there with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're nice to me,
Yeah.
99.9% of the time, like I'm not going to give you a ticket.
Yeah.
But if there's something that, dude, you need a ticket for this. Like you going 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. Guess what you're getting?
You're getting a ticket.
You're getting a ticket.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, dude.
You know I got a ticket for 5 over here, right? I think I told you this
Yeah.
story.
You told me that.
5 over in a pack of cars. Did I tell you this?
No.
I was driving
I
down.
was like, was this right after you refused to get your car registered?
No. By the way, still not registered, bro.
I believe you completely.
Still- it's insured. But it's no one's business whose car this is. Anyways, but my work truck is registered. So, but I had just moved here. I literally woke up in the morning, got ready, grabbed my kid, and I wasn't working. I was just on vacation, essentially living here, and went down to the Albertsons on Lake Hazel and not 5 Mile, Cloverdale maybe.
Are you talking about the one on Lake
The
Hazel?
old Albertsons, yeah.
Yeah, it's on 5 Mile. Lake
5
Hazel,
Mile?
5 Mile.
Right,
Mile,
right
Lake
next to
Hazel.
that. Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
So right there, get some eggs, bacon. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna cook breakfast. Have my kid with me. There's 2 cars in front of me and a car behind me, and then I'm in kind of like the middle of the 2 cars. We're driving. I'm seriously like, for sure, I'm following the pace of everyone. There's no way I could go faster or slower.
You're boxed in.
I was boxed in, and at the time, as soon as the siren said, I looked down to confirm I was seriously going like 5 over. And the ticket reflects that too, I'm pretty sure. I'll have to find it and pull it up.
That's funny.
And I'd love to pull it anyways now that I'm in the industry of firearm training and I know a lot more cops out here and stuff, to find that guy and be like, what were you thinking? Like, what the fuck, man?
So you were going 5 over.
Sheriff coming down this way, and he flips it, and I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's no way. There's no way.
Do you have
at all.
California plates on?
Oh yeah, I did. and so he gets behind the car and back, and like literally just flips it in the middle of the street. Didn't even like. It was not discreet. I saw it happen. I was like, oh shit. And this was also the first time I had ever been pulled over with a visible gun in my car.
Oh.
I was sweating bullets,
little
dude.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah, oh yeah, from California. I'm like, I'm going to prison. I'm going to prison. They're gonna take my kid. He's going to CPS. And maybe I'll call Erica. Maybe they'll let him. Like, what's going on? I was freaking out. And so he's behind a car that's behind me, and literally just waits as we go, just burp, and just cuts in front of that guy and gets directly behind me. Flips the lights on. I pulled over. Speeding ticket,
California plates, bro.
dude.
That's a quick ticket.
And I was definitely super mellow at first, but then as I was processing, I was getting more and more argumentative. I was just kind of like,
Hence your ticket.
I was
That doesn't sound like you at all.
I was definitely not helping my cause at all, because I was like, wait a second, like I was in a pack of cars. What the fuck was I doing?
Yeah.
He's like, well, you were speeding, and I'm like, I was speeding. Like I started losing my shit.
Dude, I can hear your affecting.
That's
Yeah.
That's why you got your ticket. Sir.
Well, and also too, like my kid was in the back, and my kid's like, "Are we in trouble?" And I'm like, "Yes, buddy. I'm in trouble. You're not in trouble." And he like waved at the cop or the sheriff, and he just looked at my son, and then just went back to talking to me. And I was just like, "What a dick!"
Yeah, that's not
Like
cool.
my kid's clearly in distress, right? And he's a little nervous because Dad's nervous, and I'm sitting here sweating bullets.
My kids
like,
would be
"Oh my
throwing
God,
shade,
oh my
like,
God, oh my
Dad
God."
got in trouble.
Yeah. Well, my as soon as I got home, hey Mom, guess what Dad had?
Yeah.
Guess what Dad did right away? And I was like, shit. And she's like, really? With Maverick in the car? And I was like, well, you act like I was going 110. I was not. It is comical. At this point, it's funny, right? Because I'm not going to go to traffic court. I'm not going to fight anything. I'm just going to pay it. I don't put the point on my record. I don't give a shit if my license get taken. I'll just buy an e-bike. I don't fucking know. But it was comical. Fucking A.
That's funny.
Leave it to me to get a 5 over speeding ticket.
Yeah,
Of course. It's probably why my eye twitches today.
probably.
I'm still hanging on to that fucking fucking
nicotine and caffeine.
I quit chewing.
Did you?
Yeah.
What's that?
So
for you.
I quit chewing. It's been 2 weeks. I hate it. I'm miserable. My fingers keep tingling. My fucking jaw's locked up. I'm just fucking shit. Doing the road trip to Riggins this past weekend, I was driving and I was legit just like, I could just feel myself grinding my teeth.
What is that?
So this is just
Black Buffalo?
It's Black Buffalo, so it's just nicotine.
Oh,
So I'm
so
starting.
it's still nicotine.
Yes, but it's not like
Tobacco.
It's not tobacco. The main goal is get off the Copenhagen, which has a insane level of nicotine. So like one pouch of my Copenhagen was like 11.5 milligrams of nicotine. This is like 6.
I always thought like the Zins and that kind of stuff, it was more nicotine, but no.
way less. And the part of the problem, the nicotine's not. The pharmaceutical grade nicotine's not what's giving you all the problems and the cancers and all this shit. It's the fermentation of the tobacco and all the additives in the tobacco and the fiberglass and all the extra shit. But I will say, I have cut back on even these quite a bit because they taste like shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Black Buffalo, don't need a sponsor. Unless you're looking for a sponsor.
I'm like, unless you want to give us your money, then
and
you
then
can
I'll tell
sponsor.
you what, this shit's fucking delicious, dude. I fucking eat this for breakfast, dog. I
No
swallow
problem
it.
being a shill over here.
Yeah. I'll fucking flip-flop my opinion. So this and Zen, and it's such a low dose of nicotine comparatively that like for the past week and a half it's been fucking just neurotic. Jeromy.
If you want to get rid of nicotine altogether,
Heroin?
Chantix, man.
Really? Does it work?
Yeah.
That's the bubble gum?
Chantix?
No,
The
it's
chewing gum?
It's a medication that you take. It's got to be prescribed by a doctor.
It sounds like a depression pill, like Chantix.
Yeah,
Sounds like
You see like somebody
dysfunction.
frolicking under, you know.
May cause death.
I chewed since I was 16 until I was in my 30s, and then I started the Chantix, and I haven't had a chew in a long time. I haven't had a dip or anything.
I went cold turkey
A long time.
after the dentist told me I was getting gum disease.
yeah.
And I was like, I was still in the military, and I was like, I'm done with this. So I quit all of it.
You're catching cancer.
Yeah.
It'll stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a dentist appointment on Wednesday, so we'll see.
Well, like my gum started like,
Oh, it's
Receding?
yeah.
So mine have never, dude. My dentist a couple years ago, and I had been chewing since same like you, like since I was a fucking teenager. Like my dentist did not knew. Like I was like, hey, I chew tobacco, and he's like, really? Oh, how long? And I'm like, a really long time. But I've always chewed pouches, so I don't know if maybe
the
that
better.
changes the receding. And I only chewed just good old fashioned expensive Copenhagen,
Mm-hmm.
like not the cheap flavored shit, none of that. Just like, so I don't know if that changed, but like, I don't know. My gums are still where they used to be
That's good.
for now.
I don't know. I'm having to get all kinds of like, I don't know. They put me on a whole protocol.
Yeah.
To make my mouth all pretty again.
Oh, I'm sure I'm gonna.
I don't know.
I haven't been to the dentist in years. I'm sure they're gonna be like, your mouth.
Well,
is
that was my
fucked
problem. So like I
up."
quit, and I'd never had a cavity, never in my life, never had a filling, nothing. And my wife was finally like, "Yo, it's time to go to the dentist. It's been a decade.
Be an adult.
I'm like, all right, fine, I'll go to the dentist. So I go to the dentist, and they're like, "Hey, did you ever chew?" I'm like, "Well, I used to, but I quit like 9 years ago, whatever." She's like, "Oh, okay." So she's like going, and she's like, "Well, your gums are pretty bad, and like you're starting to get some cavities." Like, fuck. So freaking $1,000.
You're also starting to get almost 40.
1,000. Yeah, I know that's the other problem. $1,000 later, deep cleaning. New toothbrush. Freaking ozonated toothpick, like all kinds of crazy
I am
shit.
fucking dreading my appointment on Wednesday.
Dude, it sucks.
They're just gonna rip me apart. But like everything's bad.
Yeah,
You need new teeth. Your fucking mouth is ruined. Fucking
you're dying.
yeah. So I don't even know what made me say that. But just
All right, so let's get into it. So Rob's question last night.
okay,
So,
well, hold up. I don't have my phone.
okay, so Rob hit us up and was here. I'll just read it verbatim. That way I don't have to try to paraphrase. Although
You can leave out the grammatical errors.
Although you guys talk a lot, so I'm gonna have to scroll back.
We do talk a lot. Well, that's a loaded question.
Dude.
He asked me a question that's.
He says, "Okay, go ahead."
No. He asked me a legal question. It's like, how do I answer this in one fucking sentence?
Yeah.
So
that's when I usually just pick up the phone and call somebody.
Yeah,
You do.
They don't. They blow up our group chat, and I'll be laying on the bed like watching a movie with my wife, and I'll look over and 60 text messages later. I'm like, seriously. All right, Jeromy. Well, Cory, is it legal to use your firearm to hold somebody for a property crime in Idaho? Say somebody was stealing my truck. And then I went on to, I'll just expand it and say, what if they break into your home? I think you can easily articulate fear of harm, so use of a firearm in a home invasion would make sense to me.
Right.
But what if you're trying to not dirt nap them and just keep them there for law enforcement?
So I would say this. Don't point your gun at them.
Okay.
Just having it low ready. Plus, you don't want to point your gun at somebody anyway. Really, what it comes down to, because we have to articulate why we're going to shoot somebody, right?
Sure.
Right.
So the only way to really do that is to have it like at a low ready.
Right.
That way you can actually see them, because it doesn't take much from here to there.
Right.
But we do have to. There is specific Idaho code that says that it's a misdemeanor crime to point your gun at somebody,
Right.
right? When you're not going to shoot them. So that's
So
a
just
misdemeanor crime.
brandishing in that scenario.
That there's a brandishing exception for that.
Okay.
So yes, you can do that. Just make sure that it's low ready and you're not pointing your gun at them, because once again, we have to see everything that they're doing to be able to articulate the reasons why
Right.
we're going to shoot them. So
Yeah.
that's something that I would say.
So then you chimed in, like, if they flee, like, let them flee.
Yeah.
Unless they don't. So that's where, for me, that's where it gets tricky, right? So say you come home through your front door.
Right.
Oh, shit. There's someone in my house.
Right.
They have no reasonable means of exit without putting me in inherent danger by passing me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surely not going to be like, well, let me reposition myself and I need you to leave. I'm going to stay right where I'm at.
Right.
I'm probably going to draw my gun. I probably will keep the baseboard clear.
Right.
And I'll probably issue commands like, hey, wrong house, buddy. Time to put your hands up, get on your knees and lay down. And then once I have the scene controlled, I'll make the calls that I need to make.
Right.
My big thing is a moving target is a harder target to hit, obviously.
Yep.
And a moving target with momentum is easier at redirecting their positioning, meaning if I allow them to move, them redirecting the move to me also is a harder situation for me to deal with. So for me, I'm not trying to hold them hostage or hold them until police come there. In fact, I'd prefer them to leave. But they don't have any means of really safe leaving without having to get extremely close to me.
I'm willing to bet, though, as soon as you come home, they're probably going
Out
to
a
try to
window.
make. Well, they're either trying to hit a window or they're
Get out.
probably trying to leave through the back, because there's more. Honestly, when it comes down to it, there's more than one entrance into
Yeah.
our residences and
Yeah.
that type of stuff. So I'm guessing that if you came home there, they would try to make an exit to the back.
That would
They're
be
not gonna
best
try
case
to confront
scenario.
you.
Yeah.
I would like zero contact if I can.
Right. But I think also you you could articulate, especially if that person is rushing you and that type of stuff, that they're trying to
absolutely.
get into a fight with you to where they can disarm you and where they can shoot.
Well, especially if your gun's out.
Yeah. So I think that either way, you just have. I can't.
We're playing a lot
give
of
you
what
the
ifs,
situation.
right.
I can't give you the situation to have you articulate the hypothetical that you're in.
Right.
However, I would say that if they're fleeing towards the rear and they're trying to leave the residence in the area, and they run to the back, I mean, we don't want to be firing rounds that way.
No.
We just wanna let
Yeah,
'em flee.
that's the problem too with my neighborhood. Is like I've got very few truly safe lanes that I can shoot in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really be confident that my backstop is
Especially with how you
safe.
shoot.
fuck off.
Well, I do know that that bullets, if you miss, they will go through multiple rooms and then they will exit out the residence.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
It's happened with me. So
Yeah, absolutely.
so it's something.
Even
that-
with hollows, you've had them exit out of the
yeah,
residence?
because the indention and the hollow points will fill with that either that OSB
Dust,
or the
yeah.
particle.
Yeah, it turns
or-
into a regular.
or with the drywall and it turns into a slug.
Interesting.
So Boise City shot a dude. It was a long time ago. There was a guy on the exterior of a residence, and he pointed a gun at the officers that were coming through. He ended up shooting and made it in through the wall, and it turned that bullet into a slug.
Wow.
Just
He got
traveled.
hit multiple times, and those bullets were through and through on that bad guy.
Wow.
Shit.
So yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Ballistics are crazy.
Yeah.
I don't. People ask me that all the time, like, because I'm the
Kyle
firearm
nerds
trainer.
out on that stuff.
Oh yeah, he's smarter than I am.
Yeah.
But what kind of bullets? I want to make sure I don't overpenetrate for my rifle in my house. And I'm like,
You're
gonna.
Yeah, don't shoot your rifle.
You're
then.
gonna. Like, I don't know what ammo will stop in one wall. Like, I don't know. That shit's moving really fast.
I would say
Birdshot.
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that you're probably one of the things that you're probably better off is with a rifle round, a 223
Yeah.
inside a structure than a pistol for sure.
Really?
As far as over penetration? Really?
Yeah.
What have you seen that leads you to say that?
I've seen a lot of the reason why like tactical teams will use 223 is because supposedly they won't exit walls and that type of stuff. They do. They still will exit, but I would say this: we're going to be more accurate with a rifle,
100%.
and then just knowing the penetration of a 9mm will go through multiple rooms in a house.
Yes.
So will a rifle? Probably not.
And so if we're looking at, say, some Joe Blow shooting a 115 grain standard FMJ, not hollow point, because
Well,
he
you
doesn't know
can't.
better.
I wouldn't say full metal. Or an FMJ will go through.
Yeah, it's just
we
a hole
we know
punch.
that for sure. But
Yeah.
we want to have some type of soft point,
Right.
soft tip
Got it.
rifle
100%.
round that we're using because
It's like all my
bets-
rifles have green tips in them.
Yeah.
So
So
in
all
the
bets
house,
are off.
Yeah.
so for penetration, green tip slows down more. Is what you're saying?
That's what.
I thought that's
I
what
would
you
do
said.
green tip's probably going to go
Go through
multiple
everything.
Stuff. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I would have like a soft tip. I wouldn't
Soft
do any
tip.
armor piercing type stuff. But if I was doing some home defense stuff inside a house, it'd probably all be soft tip type stuff.
Okay,
what
interesting.
I
Well,
would
maybe I should go buy some soft tip 5.56 because all of my rifles are loaded with
And
green tip.
yeah, and I just make sure. I mean, everything's bonded, but if it's not bonded, that'd probably be better.
I don't even have a rifle in my wheelhouse for home defense.
Really?
Yeah. I just don't even think it would occur to me to be like, oh, I need my rifle for this one. I think I just grab my pistol and go.
For me, I'm like, it's an accuracy thing. At the end of the day, I know I can shoot a much tighter group at any given distance in my home, especially because of the way my home is laid out. My old house was awesome. Our room and the kids' room were all upstairs, and so all I had to do
Hold this top.
was hold the
Yeah,
top.
I bet we lived in the same house, same style. of
Yeah, I
house,
mean, it
for
was
sure.
the CBH. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I think that was the builder. It was like all of them. It was the same thing. Is downstairs was all of the living area.
Yep. And then
Upstairs was kid room, master bedroom.
Do you have a bathroom up there too?
Yep,
Like,
one right at the end of the hallway,
yep,
and then one in the master.
We have
Same
the same
floor plan.
Yeah,
So
I know exactly what you're talking about.
that was awesome because from a home defense perspective, like it took very little preparation. I had a couple of throw ladders upstairs in case of a fire to get everybody out. And then as far as home defense goes, I literally was post up and be like, hey, cops are coming. If you come upstairs, you're going to die. Otherwise, take what you want before the cops can get here because they're on their way.
That's honestly one of the scripts I teach my people too. Is like, if you have a 2-story house, just like consolidate your family.
Yeah.
Get them all fucking together. Your wife or someone old enough to call 911's on the phone with the 911. And you're just over there just like, hey, don't come up these stairs. I'm armed.
Yeah, it makes it super easy.
Super easy.
Because then if they do, it's like, well, I told him not to, and I had a gun, and he decided to come up anyways. So he was trying to kill me.
So that was great. New house, though, completely different story, which is problematic. And I hate the way my house
What year did it get built?
We built it in 2021.
So what kind of sheetrock do you have, too? Do they throw in quarter-inch shitty sheetrock, or do they go really nice sheetrock?
Yeah, no, I think it's half-inch.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That's better.
It's not quarter-inch, but it is still...
I know during COVID, a lot of houses got a lot of really cheap product put in.
Yeah, there's a few things, but I digress. More what I want to talk about is the layout, because now what I'm dealing with is I have all of the subsequent bedrooms are towards the front of the home, and the master is in the back corner.
Mine's the same way.
Oh, so you got to go up and go collect.
Yeah, you're making contact.
And so no matter what, my kids are away from me, and if somebody comes into my house, I have to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to be fast and mean.
Well,
right.
Well, just a couple of things that I would say on that is you probably need to get some type of like night lights in corners. That way you can see shadows.
Which I have.
Be able to tell if it's...
Yep.
If it's
all of our hallways have like
or
low-lying
stature.
lights so you can see anyone moving from a shadow perspective, which is great.
So on that, I think that helps you out. That puts you ahead of the curve anyway, just to be able to go and try to do that one person slow clear up to go get the people and then consolidate them back to where you need to take them.
Yeah, and I felt halfway decent about my security system because I have cameras. I'm like, look, if somebody breaks into my house and I end up having to get aggressive with them, I want it all on film.
Right.
Like I want it on video so I can go
No
to court.
audio though, right?
No, it audio records, so it can go to court.
I don't want audio.
And I can be like, hey, look, like, yeah, I did it, and here's why. You know what I mean? Like, that's for me. I'm like, the truth shall set you free, baby. Like, I'm not looking to get into fights, but I'm gonna protect my.
Oh, I'm so the opposite.
Me
I'm
and
like,
my
I don't want any fucking record of this.
But then this dude just tells me this morning that one of his neighbors got broken into, and they used video jammers.
Yeah. So South Meridian just happened last night or the night before. I can't remember which one. All Wi-Fi enabled cameras, and the people who went into the house, literally, the cameras all went out at the exact same timestamp. Boom! They entered the home. The estimate was they were in the home anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes before the homeowner had woken up and been like, "Oh, someone's in my house," and then at which they fled. Yeah. And this is right here, and I live in like a quote unquote a luxury neighborhood in South Meridian. Well, it does not feel that way now.
Well, that's why I got hit. I mean, there's a lot of South American groups that come around, and then they have a big circuit. So they'll drive around the country, and they hit high-end homes. That's all they do.
Yep.
So they run in. They'll bypass everything. They'll take jewelry, and they'll take cash, and then they're out.
They're not interested in conflict. They just want to.
They're just there. Yep. They're just there to
quick hits and go.
To do a quick hit and then go. Sometimes they're really good to where they'll have some type of surveillance and they'll know exactly when to go in the home to hit it and then when to leave.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so they know when it's unoccupied. When it's occupied.
Well, I've heard about teams of dudes like entering homes, but like properly. You know what I mean? Like I've heard about teams of dudes entering homes properly, like split stacking doors, like doing the things.
I haven't seen that. I've seen where they'll usually once the house is empty and they know people are gone, they'll hit the back and then they'll hit the back of the area. Usually take a rock or just force entry into the rear and then get what they want and then take off.
I'm totally cool if someone wants to rob my house when I'm not home.
Well, I'm not.
As long as my wife and if my wife and kids aren't home, like that's ideal. Like
if you're gonna rob my house,
happen,
I get what you're saying.
Like if it's gonna happen, it's like, yeah, dude, go ahead. Like
it's still so rude.
It's super fucking rude to break into someone's house.
Well, it is.
It's like really fucked up.
It's a violation of all, because that's your safe
It's
spot.
it's your sanctuary, right?
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about this morning. I'm like, look, you break into my car, I'm not gonna be happy about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's gonna piss me off. But at least like you're aware there's no one in the car. There's
Yeah.
just stuff.
Right.
You're disrespecting me, my property, but you're not violating
Yeah, it's,
my family.
it's a whole nother level when they go inside your house.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And so my friend, the same kind of thing. This was years ago. They had their house get broken into in Meridian, and as they're going through in the morning and kind of assessing what's gone, like people were upstairs near where his kids were, and I'm like, it just,
He slept through that shit?
yeah,
That's
dude.
terrifying.
And I'm like, it makes my soul just cringe thinking that happens to people.
Well, here's the
Ah, it
thing
drives me
inherently
nuts.
too, and like all laws aside, ethics aside, fucking what you're supposed to do aside, this is not any kind of advice for anyone listening. There's a really strong chance if someone comes through my door, I'm going fucking hard.
Yeah.
And I will sit my ass in prison. There's a really strong chance that I'm going to say, I don't give a fuck about what Idaho says I can and can't do. You came into my fucking house. I'm going to kill you.
Well, and that's the thing is like, and this is, I think, the conversation that most people have with themselves. Like, if you come into my house and my kids are there, like, depending on your proximity to my family, like, I'm going to articulate. You're threatening my family by
yeah,
being.
I will find a way to articulate this.
If in the future, if that, God forbid, ever happens, like, my thought process right now is that is a direct threat to my family. I've got no problem saying that. It's whether or not the law agrees with me, that's one thing.
Right.
But you're a threat to my family, and I'm going to deal with it appropriately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if there's consequences of that, then, you know, you deal with those consequences as a man, as a protector, as a father. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, man, it drives me crazy. The idea that people break into homes with, just.
The real question is,
There's nothing more offensive to me. I'm like, you want to go loot
Yeah.
CVS? Like, I think you're a piece of shit. I think you're wrong. And you should be.
but it's a
dealt with
mega
as criminal.
corporation and they'll be fine.
Like, I'm not justifying it, but
Yeah.
it's a class of crime that is different than violating somebody's sanctuary.
Right.
Just
I'd just be
don't know.
super extra pissed if I had to gunfight someone naked.
I
Like, I
believe
think
you.
about that regularly. Like, before I go to bed, and Eric would be like, "Are you sure you don't want to get dressed tonight?" I'm like, "No, I'm sleeping naked tonight." And like, then I think about it, like, is tonight going to be the night
Well,
where I
that's-
have to fucking
That's
just
the thing.
dick swinging fucking, hey, and
You give him the truffle shuffle right before.
and I'm just fucking out, just looking at him, frothing at the mouth, and they're going to be like,
I
"Oh,
was like, there's a large man coming at me.
yeah," and it's not just like, yeah, it's just a large hairy
I
tattoo
think
man.
the interesting part is when you get arrested in your house.
Well, no, here's the thing. That's the next question, right? Here's the thing. I'm not trying to tamper with evidence, so I just stay naked until the cops come.
No, I'm going to tell you this.
Please put clothes on.
For the love of God, put some chonies on that.
After the conflict or before?
Let's start with let's
Because I'll have my slippers on.
How about we sleep in the underwear? We start there, right? But
Be prepared.
after everything's said and done, right? And you win your little conflict you have. For God's sakes, put something on.
Just standing there, fucking body on the floor, erect and anxious, just fucking. It's all right, guys. Drop the gun. I'm like, it's locked and loaded, baby. Fuck.
So bad.
Yeah. Well, you know, this real life shit, dude. Sometimes you gotta sleep naked. Fucking it feels great. I don't know what to say.
That's
It is what it is.
All right.
But I don't have time sometimes. And here's the thing: always with the slippers next to the bed, though, because I'm scared to step.
So you're
in
going
my
out there in
glass.
your Uggs and nothing else.
No Uggs. No, nope. I got Vans Chunkalas. Got my Vans Chunkalas. I'll put them on. That's it. Pistol. Ah, hey.
So let me ask you this. So from your perspective, your profession, like what you've seen, how do you go about, like, what are some of the protocols do you go about kind of setting yourself up for success, like in home security, protecting your family, protecting yourself?
Oh, so something people don't think about just for starters, and this is kind of like to the very beginning of our question about having a rifle or having a handgun on,
Yeah.
and all that type of stuff. There's this thing called mechanical offset. I know you guys know about that as well. But mechanical offset is very, very, very important, especially if you have to take a really low percentage shot, right? So you have to understand at distance, inside your residence, and that type of stuff, where your actual mechanical offset is. Because if you have that typical movie hostage shot, where the person is right here,
Oh, right. Yeah.
where the I don't know, the hostage is right here where my hand is, and then you have the bad guy just kind of peeking around that head.
Right.
You better be on your A game if
Absolutely.
you're going to decide to take that shot. And a part of that is knowing exactly where your mechanical offset
What was that
is
shitty
on
Colin Farrell movie where he's like, sometimes you got to shoot the hostage?
Oh, that was
It was SWAT.
SWAT.
well, no, I think you guys are thinking about where's the one with Cassandra Bullock?
No.
Or no.
It's the one with Jeremy Renner and Colin Farrell, and
So there's two of them.
and-
That one's SWAT.
Oh,
That one
Speed.
is
And
SWAT.
director-
I was thinking about Speed.
oh yeah, but yeah, he like they break into the bank or whatever, and he shoots the bad guy, but like through the hostage, and he's like, sometimes you got to shoot the hostage.
I was thinking of the Speed one. I was thinking Speed ones where you just gotta
Yeah,
just remove the hostage from the entire situation.
man, you're dating yourself with Speed. That movie's going back.
I'm
Yeah, but you
old.
know what?
I'm old.
I'm younger, and I totally have seen.
Oh,
that
dude,
movie.
I have too. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Can't drive the bus was below like 55 miles an hour or
Yeah.
something like
It's
that.
got to go fast. Keanu Reeves just flowing here. Yeah. I'm going to stop this bus.
Dude, I love Keanu Reeves. I don't care how like
He's a good dude
how
from what I
cheese.
hear.
Yeah, that's what I hear too.
We've
But
seen the pictures of him and like
And the
filming the Matrix,
subway.
and he's just like sitting on the ground with a homeless guy sharing a sandwich.
yeah,
You know, it's just like you could be sitting with your cast and your crew, but you're just like
he
hey,
like
man.
rides the subway.
Yeah.
He's just good dude.
Just like
from what I hear, I don't.
that's
Yeah.
what I hear too.
Yeah.
So
And he owns a motorcycle company. So that's cool.
He does.
But anyway,
Oh,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
But yeah,
of
so
course.
like understanding mechanical offsets one
so
thing.
you need to understand that. As far as anything else, I think a lot of people get into problems where they try to do movie type stuff when they clear their house, right? So their gun's up, they have a gun up. Usually, when they get scared, they end up
Cooking.
putting their finger on the trigger, and then when they get scared, they end up shooting around. The problem is that when you have your handgun up in your visual plane as you're trying to search, people are usually shooting some type of a loved one that were like sneaking in the house,
Right.
kids sneaking in the house, or somebody gets up to let the dog out, and then they get up and they start moving around. They either get shot in the chest or they end up getting shot in the face. I mean, that's a horrible thing to shoot a loved one. So people need to understand that they need to, if they do take it upon themselves to clear, they should probably get some type of training
Yeah.
to do that.
Absolutely.
And
Please.
then they also need
And a lot of training.
they also need to have that gun in like a low ready position as you're searching and running around, because I don't know about you, but I'd rather take one to the leg than I would to the face.
For sure.
Yeah,
For
100%.
For sure.
So
It's my moneymaker, man.
I'd say probably have some night lights in areas to where if there's blind corners and that type of stuff that you can check and see to make sure that there's nobody in there. That way that you can actually make some commands and you just don't go into the known to try to confront them. So make some commands and have people actually come to you instead of you trying to come to them.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, you need to make sure that you're in a good position. That way you can't get blindsided or attacked. What else?
I did I put like reinforced kick plates on my doors.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then if you can take the shallow nails out and put like 3-inch
Yeah,
nails
so you
all
can
the way
actually
into
hit the frame. That's the first thing
But
I
I'll
do
tell
in
you
any
what,
house.
it makes
That's
kicking a
smart.
door substantially more difficult.
Yeah.
Substantially
for
more
sure.
difficult.
Totally. Or
Yep.
what about the under? I really like the poles with the rubber thing on the bottom with the V. You stick it under your door handle, and you just go boom, and you just kick it, and it like wedges up. So that way, if someone kicks the door, it's just resistance.
Oh, I've never seen
I'll
that.
show you. They're sick as fuck.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one in the front and the back. I never use them.
Yeah.
And
I look at
I have a good plan though. Don't come to
I
my
look at
house.
security like this, and I would assume you probably have a similar idea of it. It's just time. Like any security measures, given any amount of time,
anything can be
it can be defeated, right? And so my goal is to set myself up, and unfortunately, like I find myself in a rather not ideal situation as far as my house is laid out. I'm just trying to set myself up for success as far as I need to consolidate my kids and my wife to a safe location so that all I can do is sit back and be like, look, you want to take my shitty TV, go for it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Cops are coming. If you come here, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Like I have zero desire to get into a fight. I pray to God that preventative measures will prevent that from ever having to be.
Right.
But I think to me, that's the biggest thing is just creating a big enough time barrier to be able to protect what's really
Well,
important.
yeah, and if if we have everybody safe and secure in one location, we don't want to go out and go asking for a fight either, because we don't know
Absolutely
what
not.
that person's skill set
For sure.
is. We don't know if they're high on drugs or something like that.
Right.
We just can't account for that, right?
Right.
So if everybody's safe, let's just stay in our area. Let
Right.
the cops come and deal with it.
Absolutely.
I think I probably told both of you this, but we encounter so. I mean, given the nature of what we do and the volume of people that come through the doors at SimShot, I mean, we get random bookings left and right all the time for people who come in. They're like, yeah, like I've literally had someone be like, yeah, you've seen the Born Supremacy? Yeah, I want to be able to do that stuff. I've had people like legit say that, and I'm just like, well, one, you're not that fucking guy. You're a software engineer or a fucking sales dude. Like that's not what you do. Two, like I don't think people like, even for me, I don't want to go clearing my fucking house, right? It does not sound advantageous. There's too many question marks.
Right.
I don't have all my fucking homies stacked up behind me with rifles. I don't have any intel. I don't have medevac floating. I have nothing. It's just me naked in slippers. Just trying to paint the picture, right? So when people come in and they want that, I have to give them that
Unpaint the
harsh
picture.
reality. And at this point, it's like I'm crass about it. I'm just like, if you go seeking fucking conflict, you're gonna fucking die or go to jail.
Right.
If
Yeah.
like we have people all the time like, well, what about if someone's in my backyard? Like you, for preface too. So Cory, you teach the legal portion for our enhanced concealed carry class.
Right. Yep.
And I know that I've witnessed a few people ask you some wild questions. I think that was probably the first time I ever saw you irritated, and me and Nick were like, oh, fuck yeah. We sat down right away to see what happened. But in general, we get asked a lot of questions that are what ifs and stuff like that. But then we also can see the egos that people have of like, someone goes to my house, I'm gonna go fucking get them.
Right.
And it's like, I don't think you understand how fucking quick and fast and violent gunfights are.
Yeah, gunfights.
And I don't think you understand what happens when you're actually fucking grabbed by someone. Like some of these people that talk to us have never taken jiu-jitsu, have never been in Muay Thai, have never been in any kind of like fight where they have no concept of how
Or not even
quick it
not
can go
even
bad.
fighting, just having to make decisions under stress. Like under real stress.
I mean, that
Right.
too.
That's
that too.
that's half the battle. You know, is just understanding what your fight or flight response
Yeah, what
feels
kind
like.
of man are you?
And have you ever well, it's not even about the kind of man or character you have. That's a physiological response that everybody deals with, and everyone's mind and body reacts slightly different.
Yeah.
And if you've never been forced into true fight or flight, you can work through that crazy, I can't move, I have to run. Like there's a weird mechanism that's just self-preservation. It's just nature,
Yeah.
right? You can, through exposure, train yourself to deal with that, suppress those emotions, and then be able to think clearly and make decisions pragmatically. It just comes with exposure. But the thing is if you are not consistently exposed to that level of stress, you don't know what your decision-making paradigm looks like under stress.
Well, and it can change from time to time too. I mean, there have been reports of officer-involved shootings where they have you look at it on paper and it's like, wow, what a beautiful performance. And then the very next one,
Right.
if they get into something, it's the complete opposite, where they're just like, like it situational dependent, and it can always change. Like you might be the fucking, city slicker, gunfighting bad motherfucker, and then the next time you freeze.
right.
Well,
Like,
I think some of that is when you talk about that physiological portion of it. If you're in like condition white,
Right.
guess what you're going to do? You'll freeze
Yeah.
every time.
Always.
That's why you always have to be in a condition to where I'm actually looking for threats. I hear people all the time, they call it, situational awareness. You can't just aware yourself of the danger. You have to be able to recognize what actual dangerous stuff is, whether or not you articulate nonverbal body language and that type of thing. You can't just be aware. You have to know what to actually look for to be aware. So I think that's important as well. And it always frustrates me when people say, well, you talk about situational awareness. Okay, well, what is it?
Right.
And then they can't explain it to you. So, we need to actually define that. We're looking for things that are bad, whether it be nonverbal body language or whatever, and then being able to react appropriately to that.
Or even
So I've
being
always
able
liked
to-
that OODA loop. You know what I
OODA
mean?
loop's
It's-
great.
Yeah.
Or even be able to recognize something like the way Nick explains it a lot is genius. This is out of my baseline normal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
now you have my attention.
And I think there's probably a fair amount of people who have never taken the time to establish to themselves what is baseline, what is normal. You may be able to put them in a scenario, first time, like virgin scenario experiencer, and they'd be like, "Oh, that felt weird."
Yeah.
Cool. Let's key in on why did it feel weird. But it takes some time to recognize those things. And I think there's too many people who go and buy a Glock and they're like, "Cool. I'm gonna watch a bunch of Lucas Bakken videos.
Yeah.
And now I'm high speed freaking McAwesome."
Have you seen the fucking video of Lucas? It's just him saying something, shooting, and then it's just an infinite loop of him sprinting and heavy breathing. And I watched it once and I was like, oh, this is a loop. Like they timed it perfectly where you can hardly tell that it's a loop. And it's just that scrawny little kid just sprinting nonstop for like 5 fucking minutes.
And I don't mean to throw a bunch of shit on him. Like, the guy's a phenomenal shooter, and he's done a ton
He gets a lot of hate, but he's doing his part.
He's doing his part, and he really does want to educate people to think. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a net positive.
I think it's funny as fuck that he murdered Sig's rifle.
Yeah.
Shoots weird, dead. Sales just plummet. Now they're on shelves everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a SIG rifle, like, you can go get them anywhere. They're fucking
And he
chilling.
has that kind of, it's interesting how
He
much
has
influence
pull.
he has.
Yeah. Him and Grantham, dude, they can fucking dictate the gun market anytime they want. They can manipulate it anytime they want. They can, I mean, just look at Grantham's popularity and the sale of the M1 Grand. Like, people think they're cool now. Now more people want them.
Yeah.
Just because he has a cool name and he did a video of, like, I'm going to give myself Grantham.
Yeah.
And he does. And everyone's like, fuck, I want one. Yeah. That noise is cool.
But all that to say, like, whereas I do think there's a place for educating yourself on concepts on YouTube, because it's a great place to go learn some things.
Right.
It's not the University of Life experience. And watching something play out, one, if you don't know what you don't know, you're not sure if you're getting bad information.
That's called in what is it? Unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, ignorance. Willful, if hopefully not willful, but ignorance. But you don't know if you're getting bad information. And then the second thing is just because you watch it 30 or 40 times doesn't mean that you now know how to do it. And that's problematic as well.
Well, I think along with that, you also need there needs to be a way to vet your instructors as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to have quality instruction. I mean, really, because when it comes down to it, somebody told me piss poor practice leads to piss poor performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that you really need to vet. You really need to vet your instructors. There's one specifically, ShivWorks, Craig Douglas.
Yeah.
You got Brian and Scott that tour the country.
They're coming to Idaho really soon.
They're coming to North Idaho for their Edge Weapon Overview.
Fucking North, God. ShivWorks, listen to this podcast. Come to SimShot. We'll work it out.
I'll talk with Brian.
Dude, please do, because I will bend over backwards to make it possible for him to come here and I won't charge him a goddamn thing as long as me and Nick can take the curriculum for free. That's like the only, I bring any good instructor here. And here's the thing, ShivWorks, like you said, you can watch without knowing much about knife fighting or just the things that they teach in general. You watch their Instagram, you're like, okay, yeah, they're you can see the difference between someone who really knows what the fuck's going on versus the people who don't.
I think I think there's some truth to that, but I also think that, to your point, when you don't know, How do you vet out who you're going to be giving your time and money to? And not only that, but that early headspace where some of those lessons, whether you learn they're right or wrong, they stick. Right. And it's really hard to break bad habits.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? How do you vet out?
I think you need to talk with people. Well, let me back up. We have a lot of USPSA shooters in the state of Idaho, especially in this valley, right? You need to go talk with them and say, hey, who's a good instructor? Because the only people you can lean on are the people that are like good at things, right? So you go talk to those people. Hey, who'd you learn this from?
Yeah,
the shooting portion of it. So they'll go to that. You have other people like me. I'll give you a no bullshit answer on who is good and who is bad. ShivWorks is probably the best, like DT defensive tactics with intermixed with firearms and knives. that you will ever go to.
Yeah.
There's a couple other guys here as well. What is it? What's his name? The Amtac. Good stuff. That dude was a former Team 6 guy. So look at something like an Amtac. He's really good as well. The reason why I like ShivWorks so much is they teach concepts that are easy to learn, and that shit will save your life.
Yeah.
You know, everything that makes sense to me with just in close fighting with weapon access and everything like that is a ShivWorks thing that I've been through 2 of their classes, and I'm gonna try to get to a 3rd class at some point in time here, probably next year. I'm gonna try to push hard to go to one of those classes as well, and that's all fighting inside a car or fighting around vehicles.
Yeah.
The Edge Weapon Overview deals nothing with knives, and then their ECQC course, that's all like real close control, knife defense, and then being able to control somebody and then shoot them if you have to end the conflict. And then I think it's VCAST. That's all done with vehicle stuff. So it's in close fighting inside cars. So it's like jujitsu inside a car.
Cool. Have you watched Car Jitsu yet?
I have, and I actually asked.
Fucking cool.
I was wondering if Craig invented that because that's the type of stuff that he.
It's the first person to get the seatbelt around the neck. That's who fucking wins.
And then it's all around vehicle stuff. So that I'm really.
Well,
really
that's also
too
testament to his like amount of knowledge too. That whole ShivWorks' vast ability to teach everything from like very practical beginner applications to like wicked high speed shit.
Well, I think some of it too. It's broken down really easy.
Yeah.
So anybody, just your average everyday dude, can actually get it.
Yeah, it's digestible and practical.
And then Craig's actually been in some shitty situations when he was a police officer in North Carolina, doing undercover work, to where the mistakes that happened is what is the solutions that he's came up with, and then he's sharing that knowledge.
Yeah, paid for in blood.
But yeah, so I understand that trying to vet instructors can be difficult, but I mean, if you ask around, you can get figured out pretty easy.
You can. I think one thing that Nick and I talk about too, and with instructors, is when we're approached for stuff that's out of our wheelhouse, we don't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's, I see a lot of instructors who are like, yeah, I can do that. We can do that. We can do that. We can do that. We can do that. Or like, oh, I want to learn shotguns. Like, we've had people approach us like, hey man, like, do you teach shotgun stuff? I'm like, no. Hey, can you do, are you guys going to be offering any like really advanced carbine stuff? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. I'll teach you how to use your safety and like the very basics of it, and like how to tear it down, how to put it together.
But your wheelhouse is teaching people how to shoot pistols.
But it's like, oh, you want to learn something high speed with a pistol? Like, yeah, I got you. That's fine. We can do that. Watching out for instructors that step out of their wheelhouse to take money as a cash grab, which I think happens a lot. I think there's a lot of guys who aren't, especially guys who are like, oh, fuck, dude, I was a Ranger, I was a SEAL, all this stuff. And now they're here, and now they're teaching pistol work, and you watch their pistol work, and you're like, that's not great.
Yeah.
Right. It's not horrible, but like maybe you should stick to rifle stuff for now until you're better at pistol. Right. Stuff like that.
We've talked about this before.
The allure of former special operations or former SWAT. And like, don't get me wrong, like for tactics, a fucking Army Ranger has better tactics than me.
But it also doesn't mean that he can teach it.
And teaching's
Like,
difficult. Like you have to be able to, you have to learn how to teach to be able to teach.
Yeah.
That's its own skill by itself.
Right.
And I feel like I'm a much better teacher than I am a shooter. Like by a landslide. Yeah. I can teach and do everything. I can do everything I teach. But that's why SimShot stuff's very, very fundamental.
It's super approachable.
Yeah, I'm not like, hey, let's learn vehicle tactics with these pistols, because it's like that's just not. I can't teach that.
Well, I mean, a lot of your bread and butter clientele, you guys are taking people from zero background, to competent.
I think we're very, very stuck in. I think we're stuck in. We're going to be teaching a very fundamental base forever, and that's okay, because that's the shit that makes you good.
Well, and when we talked about it, I mean, I would think you would agree too. High speed stuff is fundamentals faster.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
If
you
your
have
fundamentals are
if
great,
you have bad fundamentals, you're never going to be good at the high speed
Well,
stuff.
that's true. And I think if I would say this, if you want to get into a higher level of training to where they want to do, hey, let's do a vehicle thing,
Right.
or hey, let's learn how to clear my house. You have to you have to be able to shoot good.
Yeah.
Because if you can't shoot good, what the hell is the point?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think you build that portion to where you can safely handle firearms, and then you're not having to think about the fundamentals because that's already built in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is the most critical part of seeking any level of training.
It is, and like you took the Pistol 1 class, and one of the things that I really like, I must have bitched about it like at least 5 times, where it's like, stop fucking arbitrarily pulling triggers to complete a drill.
Right.
Stop fucking just pulling the trigger to complete a drill. We are in ideal conditions. We have to utilize those to drill everything in ideal ways.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like the beep went off, so I'm going to panic and just shoot the 6 shots or 12 shots. It's fucking build your grip properly. I don't care if that takes you 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Build the grip properly, present properly, unholster properly, use your vision well. Like, do everything right at your own pace.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, I expect you to do it like a little faster. Like, don't fucking really slow me down too much.
Well,
Like,
you shouldn't take forever, but
yeah,
Yeah.
like, don't actually take 5 minutes to build your grip, because I will say, hey, you got to go.
Yeah.
I need to move faster than that. But, like, training in ideal conditions means you can drill everything, ideal grip, stance, everything. And then when the party does kick off, theoretically, if you have drilled and drilled and drilled to perfection, you're more likely to draw your gun and have a good grip. You're more likely to be in a solid stance. You're more likely to understand what to look at and do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all sorts of crazy shit.
well, that, and then you need to build upon it with movement, and then you need to build upon it with actual force on force type
Yeah.
drills. There's a whole bunch of stuff that in a perfect ideal society, and at some point in time this will happen. But but you need to put it all together, because gunfights are hard, man.
Yeah.
They're not static. People are moving around. So
It's fucking chaos.
Hmm.
And it's loud.
Yeah, guns are loud.
You know,
Well,
I think
a
about
lot
that.
of people don't think about
I
that.
don't. Everyone that trains with, and I'm not. Again, this is not advice at all. But like, a lot of people, I don't think actually know what gunshots sound like right in front of you with no ear pro.
Bro,
I don't think people know. And here's the thing: I'm not recommending this at all. But I get curious sometimes, and I'm not very smart. And so, like, me and Nick were at the range once, and I was like, I don't think I've ever really been popping off rounds at a rapid rate without ear pro, ever. Not that it's a fun experiment, but like, I'm kind of curious what's going to happen if I take a few shots without fucking ear pro on.
but you guys shoot outside.
We do shoot outside.
Like, what about the guys who have comped rifles, comped SBRs next to their bed and no ear
they
pro?
better have- they better have a suppressor on it. That's all I got to say.
You know what I'm saying? But so this is a conversation that I think John that John Lovell of Warrior Pro Society got into on one of his videos, suppress versus not suppress for home defense. Now, for self-preservation, I completely agree with you. Like, if you don't have the time or the thought to throw on some ear pro before engaging in whatever that scenario is, right? Like, if you're not suppressed, it's going to be a really bad night. The other side of that conversation is, he's like, I want all my neighbors to know that I'm in a gunfight. So 1, they're calling before we have a chance to call. Right. And 2, they're strapping up and coming over too.
But it's not like
I get it. I would say this though. Okay. You are flashbanging yourself if you have an SBR inside a residence and you're popping off rounds. You are flashbanging yourself.
Totally agree.
Audible
Over and
occlusion's a
over
problem.
Again. What else is going to happen is physiologically you're going to slow down your decision making time by a second.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
It's not going to be good. So
I keep cans next to my bed.
I will say this.
I keep cans on my guns.
I would say this. Put a can on your gun. If you have an SBR, you paid a tax stamp for that.
These cans, but those cans too.
If it was me and I had an SBR and I had it for home defense, I would make sure that it had a can on it.
Yeah.
And operate that gun with that can.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be louder than shit. Now, maybe if you're in high stress, you might have some audio exclusion to where you're maybe not hearing it as well because you're paying attention. But every study that I've seen in dark environments,
Slows you down.
that bang is louder than
During light.
during the daytime,
Interesting.
and it's going to rock your world
For sure.
hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you're ding dong like me and everything's comped.
even outside, running just a quick little bill drill with my rifle, I went boom, 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 and I just looked at Nick and I was like,
Spun.
like it almost made me feel slightly dizzy.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Because
it's TBI.
It is. Well,
It's-
I don't know if I have that.
Well, I'm saying no. That
Jesus.
that concussive thing. It is micro TBI. I mean, I'm not saying you're gonna have long lasting.
Yeah.
But given a long enough exposure to that over time, you
Oh,
absolutely.
I do
will.
know, dude. I'm.
But that's what
permanent
flashbang
ear
is.
damage.
I mean, you're
So it's just PSI, it's physiologically slowing
Yeah.
you down.
it's
Well, that's
barrel,
also-
it's barrel trauma.
It's bleaching your retinas too, so you can't
Yeah.
see where the shit. But
Oh, especially in dark, right? It's just boom, boom, the
yeah,
flash.
that's bad. You can't
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
At this juncture in society, if you are a rifle shooter or you take rifle classes, I think it's just, even as I'm a nice human being, it's just polite to have a
it's like
suppressor on.
it's just rude to go with a comp.
Yeah,
to a
like
rifle
what
class.
are you, uncivilized, you fucking animals? Go get a fucking suppressor.
Yeah.
And don't fucking make my teeth chatter
Yeah.
when I'm trying to fucking run a drill that I've never run before and teeter on my fucking belly on the ground like a goddamn seal.
Yeah.
You know.
Elephant seal.
I have one more question topic one I want to get into, but I want to be respectful of your time. What's your time hack look like?
What time is it?
It's 11:30.
11:36.
Yeah, well,
You're good.
yeah,
Okay.
good.
So I want to kind of get back to just kind of leaning on your experience as law enforcement. You've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, about close to 24 years.
Okay. So broad stroke question. What do you view the role of law enforcement in today's society? Like, how would you articulate to somebody?
Put bad guys in jail.
That simple.
It's that easy. That's what law enforcement is for. Is to find bad people and put them in jail. I think there's educational phases with that, like your traffic type stuff, right? And I think that traffic stops are very, very important. And the reason being is that's how we find other crimes, to where we can find actual bad people
Mm-hmm.
and put them to jail. Really what it comes down to. That's what law enforcement role is for, is to make the public safe. Find bad guys.
Yeah. I think I would fundamentally agree. Do you think that, and very
I
non-specific.
just see the devil's advocate hat just like,
No, I like philosophical questions.
No, I know.
I'm not trying to make a specific point. I'm just trying to have a broad stroke conversation, because I think that these conversations are being had, and so it's
Yeah,
an
it's
interesting
important.
it's an interesting
Yeah.
opportunity to have somebody who is active in law enforcement
Totally.
weigh in on it. And to preface it as well, I'm not looking to agree or disagree. I'm just curious.
Okay.
Are there agencies that are so? And I agree with your previous statement to put bad guys in jail.
Right.
Are there agencies that are defining bad guys in an inappropriate way?
I don't want to say no. You know,
Right.
we're all doing the stuff, but I can see some issues, and I don't know how valid they are. I've seen them on the news, to where during lockdown with COVID, and I've seen it political wise when they talk about Tim Walz,
Mhm.
right? And I think it was Minnesota police.
oh, where they were paintballing
They're walking
people.
down and they're paintballing people in their house. What the fuck?
Cops were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear
Yeah.
about this.
If you're on your patio, they were paintballing you and shit.
And making
Really?
sure that people went inside the residences. I mean,
There's videos of it.
That's psychotic.
Yeah.
That's one of the most despicable things I think I've ever seen in my life. That cops are actually doing that.
Yeah.
I think I truly believe that if you're going to have issues with policing, in like lockdown specific things or that type of stuff, I truly believe it's going to be more blue states that have that type of issue and that type of problem. I really do. I think that us being here where we're at, I think we're blessed with probably some of the most professional law enforcement officers in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of like a Goldilocks type of state, or actually not state, but in the valley here, we're kind of like a Goldilocks. It's not too big. It's not too small.
Yeah.
It's just right. And I fundamentally believe that. I think that that we're in a good place here. Have I heard other stories in other areas that are pretty bad? Yeah.
Yeah.
But and I think that maybe I'm like naive. I know for sure at some point in time I was naive because I went off to different states to go train with other people. I was hearing some stories like, what
Right.
in the absolute fuck? There's no way that I thought that an agency could work that way. And I think we're really blessed here. I really do. We don't have any problems. I think the biggest thing that people complain about is like gear. And when you know that people complain about gear,
Like civilians or like the actual?
no, actual like,
Oh,
police
okay.
officers and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
When you hear stupid, petty complaints about dumb shit, you know that you're in a pretty good place
In a good
because there's
spot.
nothing big to really complain about.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, there's issues in other states. Here, not so much. I would
Yeah.
say that a lot of the issue I think comes down to is training as well. If you're not trained, there's a lot of issues and a lot of problems that can involve
And
that
you
way.
don't
Sure.
just mean training on your gun. Like you're talking about like mindset,
Yeah,
how to
All that's
exercise
Arrest
discretion,
techniques,
judgment.
medical.
all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, before we ran that YouTube video shooting the post qualification, which was the most fun, inflammatory video I got to post. Have you seen the comments of that?
No, I haven't.
Oh
looked
my
at the
God!
comments
You
on
don't
it.
have to watch the video because we passed
Right.
miraculously, right? So hard. But we are being just ripped apart by every old cop in the fucking
Oh, really?
country, dude. You don't have retention. You need to play. Just fucking that fat guy doesn't know what low ready is. Like, dude, it's so fucking funny. Like, it brings me so much joy seeing how riled up everyone is. And the whole point is, like, we even got comments like, it's Second Amendment people like you who hate police. And I'm just like, what the
That's not-
fuck?
That's not true. You like me.
I have a lot of friends that are law enforcement, and it's like, wait, whoa. I didn't
Yeah.
say we hate police. We're just talking about one specific topic, and that's firearm training.
Right.
What the fuck? But like, it is true. Going back to it, like you said, like when you say stay trained, it used for me before me and you had that conversation. Staying trained for me was a cop was like, yeah, be good at arresting people, good at driving, and good at shooting.
Right.
Right. But then when we had the conversation, it's
Everything.
arrest techniques, it's fucking administrative, it's knowing the laws, it's just even knowing how to interact and de-escalate. Like there's
That's
so
a big one.
there's so
to
much
talk
law
to
enforcement
people.
actually has to do and learn and know and be good at in order to be an effective cop.
Yeah.
It's not just be good at your gun and know how to arrest people.
Right. Because really, when it comes down to it, cops really don't. We don't get into
No.
a lot of gunfights. Now we get into more than what it was back in
Sure.
the day. I mean, there's usually one or two or three every couple of months.
Yeah.
But really, on a grand scheme of things, cops aren't really arresting people. I mean, hundreds of people a month. That's not occurring. It's not happening. Most of the stuff that we do is there's a neighbor complaint,
Yeah.
or there's something where we have
Domestic
to go
or-
talk with people.
Right.
That type of stuff. So it's not. That's a small percentage.
Yeah,
right.
When admin sees that, I mean, granted, I think that your high risk, low frequency stuff needs to be trained quite a bit.
Yeah.
But what does the admin see though?
Right.
They don't see a lot of that, so more of their emphasis is put into.
This is
other
what we're
stuff.
so this is where we're going to throw the funds. Yeah.
So that's where they put the emphasis in on it. Usually, is what
Interesting.
It comes down to.
So I think this is probably the last kind of pointed question I have.
Okay.
So as a law enforcement officer, you take an oath when you swear into office, right?
Right.
And if I'm not, is that a universal oath that kind of all law enforcement?
Yeah, depending on what agency it is.
Okay, but
that's
it's all
the same.
all pretty much the
Protect
same,
and defend
right?
the Constitution
Protect
of the
and-
United
right.
States and of the state of Idaho.
Okay. So and that's where it gets my question lies is and I don't necessarily mean just in Idaho, though it seems like your answer is probably going to be mostly in the context of Idaho law enforcement because that's where your
'cause
experience
that's
is.
what I am.
The context of how law enforcement views laws. So to protect and defend the Constitution and then the laws of the state of Idaho.
Right.
How does law enforcement view the hierarchy of those laws? And like if there is conflicting ideologies behind maybe a law of a state versus something that is something that can be interpreted differently at the constitutional level. How does a law enforcement officer discriminate between those two issues? And then where, and we were talking about this a little bit before, like a lot of times the place is the courtroom for that to be sorted out, right? But how much discretion, like if there is something, Second Amendment interpretation, right? The ATF tried to basically write into law a bunch of things that are now determined to be unconstitutional determinations, but they essentially became law and regulation. How does a law enforcement officer discriminate between something that may be conflicting at a state level versus at a federal constitutional level?
Well, I think trying to figure out how to do that.
I think that's
as far as federal law enforcement stuff. Local law enforcement's not going to deal with that.
Deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's not our thing. We can't even charge somebody with a federal crime.
Right.
So we're not looking at anything like that. The only thing that we are looking for is basically, when it comes down to it, is state law.
Okay.
That's what we deal with, and state and then county and then city ordinances and that type of stuff. So we're going to stick in between those lanes. We're not going to go outside of those lanes to any type of federal thing.
So is the law kind of next down? I suppose is probably the best way to put it, from broad stroke constitutional thought to federal law to state law to county law to city law.
Well, I think when it all comes down to it, though, I mean we have Fourth Amendment issues. It's really what it comes down to it, right? The Fourth Amendment issues are the major thing when it comes down to it. If we start violating those things, then there becomes an issue. But I mean, that's what, like I said before, that's what like court is for,
right?
And then, and I know the state of Idaho, or I don't want to say the state of Idaho. I'd say Idaho law enforcement has been pretty good, and the majority of stuff that gets screwed up is all from California.
Okay,
that's where case law is usually set, and then the Ninth Circuit takes it up, and they either smack it down.
Yeah, most people don't realize that California, Idaho's under the same circuit.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So the Ninth Circuit usually screws it up. It'll go to the Supreme Court, and then it'll get hashed out from there. But really, what it comes down to is that. If you think you've been wronged, right, and you don't think that something right happened, there's a process for that, and that's through the courts. Then you can sue that department, get a whole bunch of money, do all of that thing. But yeah, I don't know if I answered your question. But
yeah, and frankly, like, I'm not really sure if there is an answer to it. I guess my question is more perspective. You know what I mean? Because there's obviously like a very broad conversation happening in the country regarding like law enforcement in general, and then you see like the wackadoo like auditors, right, who are just going out trying to pick fights and like see if they can get arrested for fun. Like, I think that stuff's a bunch of bullshit, and it drives me crazy.
Those guys suck.
They do suck. They suck completely. And I've dealt not with auditors specifically, but I've dealt with the like they just want to throw a camera in your face to get a rise out of you as a medic.
Yeah.
You would think that's the most
that
like
messed up.
Like, you would think that of any of the public services, like medical things, it's just like, leave us alone. Like, we're just trying, like literally just trying to
keep this human
people
alive.
not dying.
Yeah.
So
I've seen that with like the hardcore like 2A community, to where they try to goat cops into that. It's like, dude, we're on the same team, man.
Yeah.
Why are you being a jerk, dude?
Most cops I know, if not all the cops I know, are pretty conservative leaning. Like,
I would say 99.999% of cops are all conservative people. And dude, Matt, I'm just trying to get a paycheck so I can get some money, pay some bills and that type of stuff. And we probably, there's like 95% of the stuff that we think about, we're probably 95% sure on. But the only difference is I'm not trying to make a point about it and then try to have a huge following.
Yeah.
So I do have a question. You don't have to answer it,
okay?
Because it's opinion based, and I just don't want to do that. But so obviously, I mean, you've heard the podcast. You know me personally, so you know that I disagree with pretty much every law that requires me to do something I don't want to do, or not be able to do something I do want to do, right? Like, if I want to drive 105 miles an hour, but I'm not going to kill anyone, like, let me just go. I have those thoughts. I'm very, very, very like, I will regulate myself.
Okay.
as long as I'm not hurting someone or fucking up their freedoms.
But you're willing to pay the consequences.
I always am. Here's the thing. If I'm going 105 and a cop pulls me over, I'm not going to be like, why the fuck would you pull me over? I'm going to be like, well, you have a law that you have to enforce. I don't like that law, so I'm not going to live by it.
Right.
Yes, I know you're going to impound my car. I
Right.
understand. I'm not going to be like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to, I will fall on my sword. But being that, there was a time when I had a lot of friends trying to peer pressure me into law enforcement when I was in my very early 20s. And part of literally the one thing that really kept me from actually applying and wanting to do it was they're like, you're going to have to work nights and weekends. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I like to party on Saturdays.
Right.
Like, that cannot fucking happen. I have to be able to be available on
Right.
Saturdays to hang out. And that was legit because I already had a great job as an electrician. I was making good money. So it was a career shift that was like non-essential. And Saturdays meant booze and party and friends,
Right.
not work and nighttime and dealing with assholes. But a person like me who has always had those thoughts, like, I assume that there's plenty of law enforcement that have laws that they look at and they're like, this is the stupidest fucking thing ever. You don't have to admit to that. But how do you enforce a law morally if you don't believe in it?
Personally.
How do you, if there's a law set in place where you're like, that is the dumbest fucking thing ever. I fucking hate that. If someone was to arrest me or even come contact me about that, I'd be furious. Like, how do you enforce that while you're on the clock? Is it simply just you're in uniform and it's like, I'm doing my job? Or is it you try to look at it objectively and be like, is this something I need to engage and deal with?
Well, I guess first of all, I would take the laws are a law. Like, I don't make them.
Right.
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 There's probably some that I don't agree with. Right.
Sure.
But the law is law.
So for you, it's just easier to, or for generally speaking, maybe as like just a broad statement, when you're in uniform, when you're working, it's very cut and dry. Like, these are the rules.
These are the rules.
I'm going to go enforce them.
Did you follow them or did you break them? If you broke them,
That's fair.
and if I have discretion, right?
Yeah.
Right.
If I have discretion, guess what I can do? It's like speeding tickets.
Yeah.
Because
Be
really-
advised, you broke the rule.
yeah, because when it comes down to it, it's an education process, right?
Sure.
So I can educate two people. I can educate somebody differently, right? So I can either educate them by informing them, hey, I'm going to give you a warning, right? Or I can give them a civil infraction, right?
Yeah.
Give them a ticket, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to to misdemeanor stuff and felony type stuff, you either did this, right? I conduct an investigation. You either broke the law or you didn't. Now, ultimately, who judges if they broke the law or not? It's not me.
Right.
Who is it?
Well, it should be a peer of your,
Yeah.
or a jury of your
of your
peers.
peers. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what it comes down to. I'm a fact finder is what
Yeah.
it comes down to. I write my little report. I send it off to the prosecutors.
That's such an important distinction, I think, is understanding the role of law enforcement in that tiered system.
Mhm.
Like, you're not actually enacting judgment.
Right.
You're simply, this is a thing that happened. Here are the facts surrounding the case.
Yep. So I conduct my investigation. If it's something that detectives need to take a look at, they'll take a look at it. Then they will conduct more follow-up on their investigation. And then we kick it off to the prosecutors. Ultimately, it's up to the prosecutors to figure out if they want to take it to trial. And then the judgment of either innocence or guilt, guess who that's on? That's on those jurors. That's not on me. I just came there. I'm a fact finder, and I sent off my report.
There it is.
And that's about that's really all there is to it.
Yeah. I think that also is that's a great answer, and that's a great way to put it. It also makes me go like, man, am I a dick when I deal with cops? Because like really, like I'm sure I am to some degree.
I guarantee you are.
But here's the thing. Regardless if I'm breaking a law or not, if you inconvenience me in any fashion, I'm irritated.
Well,
whether
you're
I'm in the wrong or not.
I think everybody's.
Yeah.
Everybody is.
So if I'm naturally an asshole, like, forgive me.
Yeah.
Right? It's nothing personal. We can still be friends.
Yeah.
But like, even if you pulled me over, I'd still just be like, what the fuck, man? Like, I know you wouldn't. And we actually might just out of
Probably
principle.
would.
We might just out of principle. Just be like, let's pull this fucking cocksucker over.
Well, you got to be doing something wrong before I pull you over.
My friends, so when I was in high school, my best friend's dad was a Santa Clara PD. And I could not go anywhere without that fucker pulling me over, dude. Sirens and all. just take a right-hand turn.
What's up, buddy?
And I'm just like, what the fuck? And here comes Rob walking up. What you doing, you little bitch? And I'm like,
That's fun.
gonna go buy weed, dude. Yeah, I bet you would be, huh? Like, just always just trolling me, dude. And I drove a very distinct truck.
Yeah.
Him and his buddies thought it was hilarious. And I used to be like, dude, what the fuck?
I'd
Because I never knew if it was going to be a real...
I'd be entertained by
Today's
that too.
entertainment.
No, I'm sure he was having a great time. He giggled his... I'd show up to his house after he was off the clock, and he'd just be like, hey,
Oh, dude.
scare you, huh? Huh, scared you, stony baloney.
Oh, my old partner's a cop now, and for sure, if he ever catches me like not in a duty rig, like I'm absolutely getting pulled over.
But the hard part
Absolutely.
is I never was sure. I always actually I was never sure if it was him or not.
Yeah.
So when it happens, it's like, fuck, I gotta pull over. I don't want to just ignore it and be like, it's probably Rob. Just have that one time it's not, and fucking
Now I'm going to jail.
yeah, here we are. Here we
Dude,
are.
I thought you were someone else. I'm so sorry.
This is for real? For real? For
I
real?
was set up for failure from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But no, that was a great answer, and I think that's testament to a lot of people who are so anti-police and anti like just non-compliant. It's like, dude, like it's not. This is not me trying to send you to jail.
Yeah.
This is me just simply following the facts of what happened, and if that lands you in jail or not, that's like on you.
Well,
not me as law enforcement.
And
kind
what
of thing.
what I would say to this as well, if you don't like the current laws that are being created,
Oh, this is so good. For
probably need to vote for somebody else.
sure.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to.
Totally, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's valid.
Make a good choice.
Yeah.
Don't make poor choices. Don't make poor choices and vote for bad people.
So tell me who I vote for that says, Jeromy, you can do whatever you want. Who's that?
I don't know.
Because I can't get into
Your,
politics.
your mind is a scary place.
Because I'd be a dictator. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Your
Just
mind
like,
is a
all
scary
bets are
place.
off. So, anyways, about the purge,
Yeah.
right?
How do officers deal with like the feeling of being conflicted? Like maybe about a specific arrest or like their circumstances like around a law that is being like, is there, I guess one, have you ever felt conflicted? Is that a question you can answer? And two, like how do law enforcement officers or good law enforcement officers deal with that?
No, because every time that I've given some type of enforcement stuff, I felt pretty good about it because they committed some type of a crime. So I'm never really conflicted about stuff. Yeah. I don't feel conflicted on anything. Have I? I think there was one kid I talked to at one point in time, and I was an ass and kind of a jerk to him. Met him a long time ago, and I actually, when I was buying some shoes, I saw him in the Foot Locker, and I was like, dude, I was a dick. I'm sorry. You know, I ended up apologizing to him. But I mean,
That's cool.
That's far and few between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was younger in my career as well. But yeah, I've never felt conflicted on anything that I've ever.
I think it's
ever done.
It's a testament to having a good command staff too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
having
I agree.
an agency that is willing to give you the room and discretion to be able to enact your job in a way that is moral and ethical
Mm-hmm.
is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been stopped multiple times by the local police department here, and before my truck was branded. Now that it's branded, I feel like I get kind of left alone.
Yeah.
Which is great because they see me every day, and I'm just like, hi guys, hi. Remember, Sim Truck guy waves at you. And
Please
if
don't
I
pull
feel
me
like,
over for
and
5
also
miles an
too,
hour.
straight up, if I make eye contact with someone, I don't know if this is true or not, but if I make eye contact with a cop and I give him this or him with a shotgun out the window, and he has to pull me over, he's gonna feel like a dick all day. So I feel like that's my deterrent. Like, hey, and it's like, you're not gonna pull me over now. I could probably speed up a little bit. Right, because then you'd be like, "Oh, the guy was really nice. He waved at me." I have
He's just
pull him
trying to
over."
find ways out of his tickets. That's really at the end
My
of the
whole
day.
life,
This whole podcast.
No,
is
but
like,
I've been pulled over multiple times for stuff that was absolutely
legit.
I should have been pulled over for, and one of them was comical. I like literally was just like, and I know the cell phone law just passed like right when I moved here.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I was literally just like texting and driving. I look up, texting, hit a stoplight, and I'm just like full in. I look over, and the cop's just like this. And he just went like this. And I went,
Oh, I got that one time too.
I went, okay. I pulled off into the Chevron. He
Oh,
gets out.
dude.
He walks up to the car and he's smiling. And I look at him and he's just like, man, He's like, did you see me there? And I was like, oh, we locked eyes. And he's like, you just kept texting. I was like, I was already busted, dude. I was already busted. And he started laughing. And he's just like, hey, man, like, just a warning, dude. Like, this law just went into effect. People are still, it's going to be a tough kind of adaptation. And I was like, no, dude, like, you caught me red-handed. I'm not even going to deny it. Like, I was straight up texting. Like,
I will say that is the dumbest law in the world. And this is why. You turn a misdemeanor infraction into just a ticket. You turn an inattentive driving into a ticket. That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
yeah.
I like the idea of personal responsibility. Right. I think by and large, I think common sense could play just a huge part in this. So I agree. I think it's a dumb law, maybe for different reasons.
Right.
But it's like, if somebody's texting and driving and they're able to do it pseudo safely, and I can make arguments all over the time.
You can't, dude. You can't.
Right.
How many times have I looked up and been like, oh, shit.
Right.
So many.
But it obviously doesn't stop people from texting and driving.
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't.
And that's the thing, is I don't think laws being written in to just create this like standard that is stated really changes behavior.
I don't think it does either.
And so
people still do it.
Those are right. Those are the laws where I'm just like, I'm like, you can get a ticket and you're still going to text.
Yep.
You can get a ticket and you're still going to speed. I don't think it changes anything. I think it generates revenue.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
you know what I
Well,
mean?
think a lot of that's
For sure.
generate revenue.
That bothers me. But again, I think that's more of now you need to elect people who have a better sense of what is right and wrong as far as enacting laws.
Yeah. But if those laws weren't in place, like if you legit like speeding, it's not ever going to end. But if you told me that law was gone,
Yeah, but you're gonna,
fuck.
but you're either going to do something stupid and then you're going to pay the consequences for what you
100%.
do, because it's not the.
But I'm going to do it way faster if there's no law.
But the thing is, this is where I'm getting at, is I don't care about the speed. I care about you being aware of your surroundings and you being a responsible human being. If you want to go do 105 out on a backcountry road and there's nobody around and it's safer conditions or whatever, smart, maybe not. But are there times and places where you can do more high risk things in a safer fashion? I would agree with that.
If those laws weren't in place, bro, I'd be driving with my knee at 105.
But when you blow out and you drive through, a house or a fence or whatever, right?
No, then
you're dealing with a lot of consequence.
Yep.
I don't think that laws like that do a whole lot to change people's behaviors.
Yeah.
A lot of people drive the speed limit, though.
Maybe.
A lot of people drive the speed limit.
Well, that's true. I mean, no, they drive the speed limit when they pass by police.
Oh, well, I mean, that's for
car,
sure.
Sitting on the side of the road.
I drive the speed limit when I pass by a police.
I would say a lot of that stuff though is all discretion type stuff.
Yeah.
With law enforcement as well.
Yeah.
Though. I mean, if you're doing 105 on a backcountry road where
Right.
there's not going to be an issue. Number one, I would say there's probably not going to be a cop there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways.
And number two, if you do get hit, I'm willing to bet that more than likely you just get a warning. But it also, if you're like on a backcountry road and you're smuggling people,
Right.
into
Right.
the U.S. or something like that, that's a part of it that you can now I can stop that
Right.
person.
It opens up a lot of
investigate that and
opportunity.
figure that out.
Right.
So
And I get that side of
that's
it too.
With that, how I would say that.
That's why people. It cracks me up when people are like, "This is America. I shouldn't have to." I'm like, dude, I show my papers all the time. I have a driver's license
Right.
that proves I am at very least a resident,
Yeah.
and I am supposed to be here.
Right.
And people bitch and moan about like, "Oh, like I got stopped down here because I'm brown," and I'm like, and they asked me for my papers. I'm like, when has anybody ever been stopped and not been asked for identification?
Everybody is.
Yeah.
Ever.
You always are. That's the first thing that comes out of police
Right.
officers' mouths when you get stopped.
And I have no
Driver's
problem
license,
with that.
registration, proof, insurance.
Because guess what? If you're not supposed to be here, I want you gone.
Right.
At least come here under the proper pretenses.
Yeah. You
I don't have a problem with you. I have a problem with how you are here, not why you're here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, and there's like there's so many topics that we can bring up and just like nitpick, but it's like ultimately, I think that what you talked about is like one, discretion, being law enforcement officers that work under a command structure that believe in ethical, moral law enforcement, where the intent of the job is to put bad guys away, to protect the community. That's what I care about. I want to live under the rule of law. I have no desire to live in an anarchist, lawless society. I enjoy it. Now, I do think that true freedom is inherently dangerous, right? Like if you're talking about like pre or post revolution, that level of freedom, though, yeah, you may not have the same nitpicky standards that we have to live in as a polite society. That's true, but it's also very dangerous. You know what I mean? And we enjoy a lot of privilege of I get to leave my kids at home.
Yeah, we're comfortable
with a babysitter.
Right.
Knowing that with at least some level of certainty, there are men and women who are going to stand up in my absence if they need to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I can make arguments on both sides of that, whether it's right or wrong, but it is enjoyable to live in that kind of society. You know what I mean? And to enjoy that, there are some concessions that you make to be in a polite society that way.
Well, I also would say that there are places that you can go if you truly want to be like that free.
Sure.
Go to BFE, Alaska.
Yeah. What's that one place?
Oh, Slow Jamistan?
Slow Jamistan.
No, that's a dictatorship, bro.
Not if I go there.
Have you heard of Slow Jamistan? It is. I'll have to show you offline. But it's like this. It's like a 20-acre little plot of land in Central California.
Oh, okay.
That the guy found a legal, proper loophole, and created a recognized, lawful country. It is a sovereign nation. Slow Jamistan. They have their own government, their own DM. I mean, the whole bit.
Well, I would.
It's the craziest thing.
I would say this though. I would say this. If you want to be free, right, and claim to be free, there needs to be no laws and no nothing.
Right.
It's just
true, like true, unencumbered.
Yep.
Right.
You can do whatever you want.
Literally the old Wild West.
Is it weird to me? That just sounds great.
Well, I think the Wild West wasn't even all that wild. I think it was just
unruly.
Just the West. Well, I think there's some embellishments on gunfights in that.
Oh yeah,
probably
within there as well. I mean, there was some crazy shit that happened in the Wild West.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you what, you give me a revolver and a horse, I ain't hitting fucking nothing at all. I'm missing 100% of my shots.
But to your point, I agree with you. Like that level of freedom.
Yeah. And there's consequences with that as well.
And there's consequences to the level of, I would consider it, I don't know that it limited freedom, but maybe that's for lack of better terms. But like we have a more strict society and set of rules that we live under. The consequences of that are, you don't have the ability to just go do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, any manner you want, regardless of how it affects other people, right? We don't have the ability to do that without consequence. You can do it. You're just going to have consequences. Versus the other side where it's like, well, I also now have every level of responsibility falls on my shoulders, which it does inevitably anyways at the end of the day. If you distill all of society away, responsibility still falls on your shoulders, but we do have the privilege of enjoying some of the perks of society. And I enjoy that. If I can continue to enjoy it, I'd like to.
Right.
Now, am I ready if that ever collapses? I mean, I don't want it to by any means, but I think I could figure out a way to deal with that if that unfortunately becomes the case. But it's nice having, it's nice being able to say like, oh, well, my mom's at home and she's ailing, and I know that if I dial 3 digits and something happens medically, I've got help.
Right.
Or it's nice knowing that if my kitchen catches on fire because I, overcooked the Thanksgiving turkey, like 3 digits and somebody comes help. Mm-hmm. I know that if somebody breaks into my house and I have the ability to consolidate my family, I can call 3 digits and I've got a bunch of people who are going to come and deal with that problem while I am doing nothing but holding up and securing my family for
They're probably going to be fucking excited too.
For a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not perfect, but it's pretty enjoyable.
Well, that's what I hear about, because we're a constitutional republic, right?
Right.
And it's not the best system, right? It's not. There's flaws in it.
Sure.
But it's the best system we have right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Dude, I appreciate your perspective. Thanks for letting me, like, I know those are weird, like, broad stroke philosophical questions. I let my mind run all over the
No,
place.
they're
But
Yeah, Josh gets squirrely.
Well, hopefully I answered them good though.
and
what you needed.
well, I'm fighting a cold, so I'm in a fog anyway. So I may not have even articulated the questions.
You're just saying
Well,
words. I have no idea what the fuck's going on.
But
I'm just kidding.
but I love those. I love theoretical conversations
yeah.
because I think it's a thought experiment. It allows for us to consider scenarios
Yeah.
that we may not otherwise think about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
having perspective from one side of law enforcement specifically, because it's something that affects all of us as citizens or as officers.
Right.
Right. It affects all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's great to be able to consider why the other side thinks the way they do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I know for me specifically, I just want to treat people like I'd want my family members. to be
Yeah, man.
treated. You know, it's what it comes down to. I
Absolutely.
don't want somebody yelling at my ma. You know.
No.
I don't want that. I want her to get the best service that she can get, and that's the same thing with me. I want the people that I deal with to have the best service as well. Because nobody likes being treated like garbage. Really.
No.
And I think overall, with the exception of my one speeding ticket that I got here, I think overall we are really, really lucky in Idaho.
Yeah, I think.
I
so
think
too.
our law enforcement has truly class acts. The response times are fucking great compared to other states. Like the willingness to help. I mean, I've seen law enforcement legit pull over and help people on the side of the
Oh
road.
yeah, I've changed multiple tires.
And that's not something you will always see in some states or some places, and not because they don't want to, maybe, but because it is inherently dangerous for them to do so.
Sure.
Whereas here, like, our law enforcement feels comfortable enough knowing that the society is grateful for them, where they can get out and make contact and not expect confrontation. I think that's huge. And
yeah, you're not going to see cops in like East LA pulling over and
well, and
helping change a
also
tire.
too, I feel very confident. Like, if I saw a officer in a scuffle by themselves, even if they were relatively handling it, I would be on that motherfucker so quick helping.
Sure.
What can I do? Like, I will hold the legs. Like, what do you need from me? Whereas then you see in New York a cop getting boxed down and his ass whooped, and everyone's just filming and kicking him.
Doing nothing.
And they were not, or like forming a circle so their partners can't get in to help.
Yeah.
And I feel like here in Idaho, almost anyone would be willing to get out and help a cop in need.
I agree.
I think even just testament to that, when with what happened with Officer Bolter, Deputy Bolter, there was an immediate response. A person went out and went to administer aid fucking immediately.
And then the whole community rallied around
And the whole
family.
community rallied around it. And it was a beautiful thing to see so much support for our law enforcement, our community.
Well, like,
It
and
was
that's
such
the-
a horrible tragedy.
Yeah.
I'd obviously prefer it never have happened.
Yeah, of course.
And never having to have seen that rally happen. But
It's like 9/11, right? Like, everybody says, like, 9/11 was the worst day.
But it was the only day America's been truly
but
united.
9/12 was the most united day.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I know this. Me and Raul, we used to talk all the time, and we told each other at some point in time, someone's gonna die, because Ada County never had one.
Oh, Deputy Bolter was the first.
He's the first one. We'd look at each other and say, at some point in time, somebody in law enforcement is going to get hit, right? And then he ended up dying. Luckily, the Boise City guy, Holtree, he didn't die, but man, he paid a price for the incident when he got shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was bad.
But overall, we're just really lucky with our law enforcement here in Idaho. And I've been stopped a bunch of times, and I've only gotten one ticket,
I love how for you it always comes back to the tickets, baby.
No, that's it. There's officer discretion. They come to the window. We have a civil conversation. He looks at me and goes like he's clearly not fucking smuggling meth and heroin or whatever it is. And
Are you not?
allegedly. and I don't have a trunk full of midgets. Like, there's nothing weird going on in my shit.
I don't believe you on that one.
So it's like
A trunk full of midgets is exactly what I would expect out of you.
just moving bodies, baby. But yeah, we're really lucky here. So and I also appreciate you as a friend as well, not just someone who teaches legal portion of our concealed carry or serves a community in what you do with your department.
No, I didn't know. So I didn't even really know that you were the one that was teaching. I'll be learning from you at some point. My wife is she's a school teacher.
She's She's a badass.
Yeah, she's learning to
Fucking
shoot.
Badass.
Nice.
And
She knows how to shoot. She's learning to shoot better
She's learning to shoot better.
because she's fucking game.
Yeah, I haven't actually ever had my concealed carry. I've just
You don't need it.
well here I don't.
But
in my former
I
state of
tell people
residence,
this
I
all
was
the
supposed
time.
to.
Like when people are, because I get asked all the time, like, well, if it's constitutional carry, why should I get
Yeah.
my enhanced? And I legit every time, like, nothing I teach you in that class will truly help you. Maybe some of the situational awareness and like learning how to identify threats early to avoid them altogether. But like the only thing that truly matters in that entire 8
This is
hours
section E.
is what Cory
Legal
says.
section.
And I say it like, listen, I'm going to teach you guys a lot of shit. I'm going to say a lot of words. But when Cory gets here to teach the legal portion, please take notes, ask questions. This is the important part. And Cory's honestly done such, like, truly, I get so many compliments on our enhanced concealed carry class because you do such a good
I
job
appreciate that.
with the legal portion. And when you leave and bounce out, I'll come back and go like, all right, how was Cory, everybody? And everyone's just like, dude, fucking
Bring him back.
amazing. Holy shit. Like, and it's almost like my days of wash. Or I'll be like teaching after you leave. Like we had you teach in the beginning, the last class. And I'm like, all right, cool. So, and I'm going through and I'm like, fuck, Cory covered all of this shit. What am I going to do for 2 hours? I don't know how to teach this class now. It's all done. Because usually I can warm them up with some of the stuff you teach in it, so then you could double down on it.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, well, I'm going to talk about it because the state of Idaho says I have to. So you're going to listen to me repeat everything Cory said, but worse than him. So we appreciate you, you working with SimShot and being part of the family.
Ultimately, when it comes down to it, you allow me to come here and teach here. So
Oh, we're blessed, man.
I'm
We're lucky.
appreciative for that.
Yeah, we're lucky.
Well, hopefully we can make this clickbaity and get a whole bunch of comments, and maybe we'll have you back. And
Oh, that'd be cool. I'm a plethora of useless knowledge.
Yeah.
perfect.
Have you on as a non-officer type deal and just let you talk?
Yeah.
After you
We'll
retire,
we'll
get you
to,
on here,
we'll
just
try
let
to
you
see
really
how,
go.
how deep that rabbit hole goes.
See how it goes.
Open Pandora's box.
Only soon.
So tell me what you really think now that you're
Yeah.
not working.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, that is 14. Cory, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Seriously, I
thank you.
appreciate the conversation. Yeah, I'm looking forward to editing this one together. I don't think there's anything I got to cut out, right? So-
Before we go, though,
yeah.
this episode is sponsored by shopblackrifle.com and SimShot Meridian. And also, please buy Cory's shirts and apparel. It's seriously sick.
Yeah.
Drop
it
your website and your Instagram for
Yeah,
us.
all your socials.
Okay, the website is 10-32apparel.com. And then I believe my Instagram is at 1032apparel. If you guys can, get on there, give me, just follow me. Apparently that matters. So
Yeah, so followers matter. And also just,
You're
re-
terrible at self-promotion. I'm
Really?
just gonna be-
Yeah. Not the best at it, but we all will help the best we can.
I don't know if it's in the camera shot. I'll try to get some shots of it to like scroll in, but some
Yeah.
of his t-shirt designs are behind him. He's got one that, what does that say? South County regulators.
South County regulators.
Yep. Which is a
Yes.
pretty cool little like Dia de los Muertos dude holding a couple.
Or even the
of
one that he's
2011s
wearing now,
and-
the modern musket.
Yeah, I
That's
like that
sick.
one a lot.
That's a good shirt.
That is very Art 15 like style.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like. I do have a. I'm for Halloween this year. I'm coming out with a shirt. It's going to be Moons Out, Goons Out.
Oh yeah.
It's going to have
Mm.
Jason, Freddy Krueger,
Nice.
Chucky, and Michael Myers.
Hell yeah.
So
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
be
Sick.
cool. It'll be
Michael
cool.
Myers and Nods just fucking.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's awesome. But yeah, seriously, support Cory. A great guy, great company. And then also don't forget, like, comment, follow, share. Please.
Our views are starting to come up, which is awesome. But
Talk
we need-
shit even. I don't even care.
Well, they are, man, dude. You getting some hate on that? I'm leaving Sig video. It's pretty funny,
Dude, people don't like me.
Yeah.
Either, like we said in the beginning of last episode, either people fucking love me or they fucking hate me. There's very
And some people are
marginal.
just mean. I logged on, and the first comment was "cardio, please."
That's so fucking good. And I will respond to that, assuming you come back to watch our other things. Thank you for pushing our engagement, and I will consider cardio, but only if you go fuck yourself.
And with that, episode 14, we're out.